everyone. Welcome to the Booze and Boobs podcast. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Katrina. Thanks for joining us today as we talk about some of our favorite horror movies.
We created this podcast as a way to give women more of a voice in horror. Men dominate most industries, especially film and television.
And that also goes for podcasts. We'll focus on female characters, motivations, or just expectations placed on women in horror, even if the situation is happening to a man.
We're excited you're here, and we hope you love it.
Now let's get to today's movie.
The way that I hit record and Katrina's face just went, showtime, baby.
It's my game face, girl.
No, so we're here to talk about Insidious. I just hit record without telling Katrina because I'm very excited to talk about it, and I know that we're gonna have some goodies, and I didn't want to lose them and then have to recreate them when we were actually talking. So, first off, thoughts?
Well, I had seen this movie before and I knew that I liked it, but I had forgotten certain pieces of it.
Oh no, did you need to astral project to remember?
Pretty much. Because I could have swore the first time I watched the movie that the grandfather clock was the key to all the problems. Because I swear there was a red herring of the grandfather clock the entire time. You watch it again and you will understand what I'm saying, okay? They focus too much.
I mean, I did watch it, and the grandfather clock is in it. I did notice, I was like, you took a lot of notes about this thing.
Because the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, it's that grandfather. I was like, I know it's the grandfather clock. That's the thing that's haunted. And then I realized
it's not the house that's haunted.
It's your son. Which is because the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. But
the literal Holy No. So
or lack thereof.
Yeah. Well, this is our Father's Day movie because we're here to talk about this horror dad, or as I like to call him, Daddy. What? You're gagging about Patrick Wilson?
No, Patrick Wilson is great. I just don't like the word. It makes me feel weird.
Well, yeah, that's kind of my trauma talking.
Well, mine is saying,
okay, so you are avoidant. Let me just write that down. So just to not take 20 minutes to introduce the movie like we do, we are discussing Insidious from 2010, directed by James Wan, the father, written by Leigh Whannell, the son, and starring Patrick Wilson, the Holy Spirit. When two of three are gathered, you have a horror movie that I must watch. So James Wan and Leigh Whannell did Saw, and Leigh Whannell wrote 2 and 3 from Saw, but they all have like credits for all of them. Love that. James Wan directed the first 2 Conjuring movies. Icon, pinnacles, like father of modern horror. And Patrick Wilson is also in The Conjuring. And he's also in Phantom of the Opera, which has nothing to do with anything else, but I love it. So, yay.
I do love Phantom of the Opera. You know how long it took me to figure out that was Gerald Butler? Gerald Butler, however you say it. I had no idea.
Well, you say Gerard Butler.
However, Mr. Butler, I did not know that was him.
Daddy Butler.
I'll agree to that. That's fine.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing about the 2004 Phantom of the Opera. Gerard Butler is so hot as the Phantom that I don't even care that Patrick Wilson is Rao.
Yeah, I couldn't have told you who played Rao. I didn't care.
Oh,
nobody wanted him to win. And the problem was that they made the Phantom too attractive.
Well, but here's the thing. Apparently so many people wanted Rao to win. I'm not one of them.
Who? Name them. Who?
My mom. She saw the beauty of Patrick Wilson, and I don't disagree. But my little 12-year-old, I was like, yeah, uh-huh, sure.
No.
Meanwhile, in my diary, fan fiction of the Phantom of the Opera. Fuck Christine, it's me. It's me. I'm the one you want. I can't sing, but it's me.
Think of me.
I just feel like this is going to be a really good episode.
Next episode is going to be Phantom of the Opera. It could kind of be a horror, but you know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's disfigured. We got a traumatized past. We got conspiracy. It's set in France. It's foreign.
It's a ghost story.
People die.
People do die. There is death. There's also music. And, you know, it took me a while to figure out that Christine is also Fiona in
Shameless.
Yes. And I was like, this is not Christine. Who is this?
It's Fiona.
This can't be her. It's Fiona.
Isn't it crazy how actors just act like different people depending on what character they're doing?
The audacity. No, I know you for one role, and that's all you are to me for the rest of my life, okay? You don't get other roles. It's like, what is Christine doing in Shameless in Chicago right now?
Well, things didn't turn out so good for her and Rao.
They did not.
But yeah, if you haven't seen Insidious, shame on you first, and then watch it because it's truly amazing. I remember watching this movie for the first time. We don't need to get into that story, how it happened, but thank God it did because I got to watch this movie. And I was so terrified. Like, I have very, very few movies that I can say that they like affected me so deeply as this one. I was like petrified, so scared. So
I want to know how first time watching this Rachel felt about when the demon was crawling on the wall chasing Dalton in the end.
Not good.
Not good.
Not good. I still like it's still really scary. Like every time I watched this for the podcast was in broad daylight. Because it doesn't affect me quite the same. But it is still very, very scary.
I think the only thing that pulls me out of the experience for Insidious is that the demon isn't like that scary to me. He looks, and it's probably because of the year that it was made. They weren't using like CGI or whatever, but like all of it seemed very costumey, which maybe that was the point. But like his makeup and like the fur on his feet, I was kind of like, meh. But he was there. He was still scary regardless.
I can see that. A lot of people, I guess, like make fun of him, and he doesn't have like an actual name. Like he's actually credited as Lipstick Face Demon because people like called him like Lipstick Face just because he's like all red, which I can see, but I'm like, no, he's like still very scary. And the demon is played by Joseph Bishara, who is is he a music director or he's a composer? I think he's a composer. But he works with James Wan a lot. And he also played Bathsheba in the first Conjuring. And Malice in Annabelle. So if James Wan has a little spooky guy, he just calls up his little piano friend and says, hey,
I'm gonna put you in the movie, son.
Yeah. On screen, off screen, he's always there. And the music is also really great. I think Bashara has a really beautiful signature. Like all the strings and I mean even just like the sound design, like where there is no music is so beautiful. So
yeah, the violins in this movie definitely build the tension. It's creepy. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just like a picture of a bookcase, you're like, it's haunted, obviously.
Yeah, you're like, what's going on here? My heart's going pitta-patta. Say hi to George.
Hello, George. How did you name George?
And his girlfriend, Shaniqua.
I was going to go Georgette, but Shaniqua is better.
No, oh my God. Do you not know about George and Shaniqua?
No, I don't know what that is.
The lore of my life? Okay.
No.
Okay. For those of you who are only listening, because this is an audio podcast, I just held up my two little llama stuff friend things that I have. They're my best friends. So Marissa got both of them for me after I told her this deep lore about myself. And I can't believe I haven't told you. You've been in my office. How did you not know about the llamas? So I love llamas.
I feel like I didn't even know that.
Have you missed like the actual giant llama thing that's in my bedroom? Don't make me go get it. It's big.
I don't
Oh
know.
my
Your
God.
room's messy, so I feel like I don't see
Yeah, but he
anything.
has a spot on the dresser.
Your dresser is covered in clothing.
And
I
the llama
probably
sits
have
on
seen
top of
him.
it. Okay. Here is a deep lore about Rachel. This will either make us lose all of our listeners or gain some new ones. One way or the other. When I was 12 and I was in study hall at my middle school, this is when I was not homeschooled, the brief period of time, for those of you keeping track of my timeline. I had study hall and nothing better to do and a creative mind, a lot of feelings. So what I did was I wrote an album's worth of songs on a PowerPoint presentation and then emailed it to myself. But the songs were about these two llamas named George and Shaniqua, and they were in love, and they still are because they're here with me now. And I really, really enjoyed that little project that I made up for myself. And apparently it affected Marissa so much that she gave me my own George and Shaniqua. And they sit with me when I work, when I podcast, when I edit. They're here. I took them with me to Oregon. I was like, I can't work without George and Shaniqua.
So have you ever recorded any of these songs?
No, I don't know where the PowerPoint is.
Dang it.
It was 12. I don't even have that email anymore, but I did. This is just something I did. And I understand if you want to end it here. I wouldn't be offended. I'd understand.
I don't think
Heartbroken.
I don't think it's equal, but there was one time in elementary school I just wanted to add numbers together. I think it was like first grade probably. And so like I wrote more than one page of like it would like 1, 2, and then 4, and then 8, basically doubling. And I turned it into my teacher because I wanted to show her all the math that I did for no reason. That was not assigned to me at all. Like it was front and back, like in the thousands. And what is a 6-year-old doing? Doing that much math.
I think that is really sweet because you love math and you're very, very good at it. I can't tell you how many times I go to Katrina with like the simplest addition and I'm like, I have used a calculator on this 17 times and I have gotten 24 different answers. And then she will just look at it and be like, here's the answer. You're an idiot. And I'll be like, yes, but I'm your idiot. So
it's just
great.
It's a balance, it's a balance that we have.
Yeah. So
it works out.
Yeah. Well, you guys thought we weren't gonna have a little tangent before we started talking about the movie. Joke's on you. But
yeah, nobody thought that.
Katrina's gonna summarize it because I can't be trusted to talk.
Okay. So the gist of Insidious is there is this family of 5. Renee and Josh are the parents. They have 2 sons, Dalton and Foster, which I don't agree with the name of this, Foster, because that's just a lot of room for bullying. Anyway, and then a baby girl. She's not that important. Corey?
Allie. But but you got 4 out of 5 real strong, and I'm very impressed.
Thank you. We open up, they moved into this new house. We don't know why. And some odd things start happening and suddenly their son is sick.
Air quotes.
Yeah. He's basically sleeping, not really a coma. Doctors can't figure it out why. And for the months, plural, many months, that he is sick and in a coma, sleep coma, whatever you want to call it, um, things in their house are getting increasingly more paranormal, basically.
Mm.
So the family is struggling, mainly Renee, the mother, because she's at home trying to work on her music while her husband is working at the school, avoiding everything. Come to find out, um, they try everything. They finally think of the paranormal, and turns out that their son is an astral projector, aka a traveler. He has gotten lost and can't find his physical body. And a demon is trying to take over his body. So his father, Josh, has to also astral project, which he did not know he could do, to go save him. And then in the end, the son is saved. And we think Josh came back, but turns out it was the freaking parasite from when he was a child that tried to steal his body and kills Elise. I love her. I'm so mad.
Well, she's
But
dead.
it is a great transition into Insidious Chapter 2, though.
Yeah, truly phenomenal.
That
So
ending had me punching the air so hard.
so scary. Like they don't let up for a second. And yes. So the what's her name? What's
Which
her
one?
name? What is their family name?
Josh and Renee.
What's their last name?
I'm trying to say it.
Lambert. I got it. It was in there.
I can see it now.
Yeah, it was in there. So the Lambert saga is Insidious 1, Chapter 2, and 5, The Red Door. So Insidious Chapter 2, Insidious, The Red Door. There's Insidious Chapter 3, something about a key.
Mm.
Or maybe 4 is about the key. 4 is about the key. Insidious Chapter 3 is just Chapter 3. But
I think so.
3 is a prequel, and Elise is alive. And 4 is another Elise prequel. So 1, 2, and 5 are about the Lamberts, where you have Patrick Wilson playing Josh, Rose Byrne as Renee. What's the kid's name? Ty Simpkins plays Dalton. Also famously known for Jurassic World, the first one. And I don't know and don't care about who play Foster and Callie. And they're probably around, but I don't care.
Yeah.
So that's just a little fun fact for you. Lynn Shay plays Elise, also a scream queen in her own right. And then Barbara Hershey is Josh's mom, Lorraine, in Insidious. Not to be confused with Lorraine Warren of the Conjuring family. So still James Wan, Warner Brothers, Patrick Wilson, and 2 Lorraines, but they're unrelated.
I couldn't have thought of a more creative name than Lorraine.
Well, Insidious came out before The Conjuring, and it just so happens Lorraine Warren is a real person. So.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like they could have used. Well, I guess if they weren't planning on The Conjuring, then sure. But I did see your note about the doll behind Josh when he was at the school on the chalkboard. Buddy or whatever.
Billy the Puppet.
Billy the Puppet, yeah. What movie is that? Because I've seen it.
Saw.
Oh, I thought it was. There is a like possessed puppet movie.
Oh, Dead Silence.
Yes, that's what I thought it was referencing.
Also done by James Wan. I think that was one of the I think that was one of the first ones. Saw came out before, but I can't remember if Dead Silence was made before.
I feel like Dead Silence is old.
I feel like Dead Silence is like 05 or 07, and Saw 2 was 04. So Saw was probably definitely first. You'd think for a podcast I'd do my research, but I'm not gonna.
Well, we didn't. Dead Silence was 2007. That's when it came out.
So Saw was definitely first. But Billy the Puppet also cameos in that. I'm 99% sure every Lee Winnell / James Wan movie there's a Billy the Puppet reference, which is so cool because I mean, obviously he's a horror icon and gave these two Australian boys their go because James Wan and Lee Winnell, they're from Australia and they went to film school together. That's where they met. And then they wanted to make a movie that they could make low budget and did a treatment with the bear trap scene from the first Saw movie. And then they got picked up by a US production company. So then they came here and then they were able to make Saw. And the rest is, as they say, history. So fun facts that I know.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It is to your point of like your note. So when we see Josh in his classroom at one point, there's a chalkboard, and it is Billy the Puppet behind him as like a little Easter egg. A lot of people do think that it is the lipstick face demon just as like an apparition, like a thing that's like, over your shoulder, like haunting you, like it's always there kind of a thing. But it is actually Billy the Puppet. And I would like the theory that, it's like the metaphor, but that lipstick face demon is specifically haunting Dalton, whereas the Bride in Black, spoiler alert for chapter 2, Bride in Black is who is haunting Josh and apparently has been his whole fucking life.
And a lot of other people.
Well, I mean,
maybe not haunting, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
okay, no spoilers, but you get it.
Was the way that your eyes just went in all different directions too. You're really selling the story.
Yeah, you should have been there, guys.
Yeah,
sorry.
So, the talking points that I noted, I'm of course willing to discuss more. But I put down generational trauma and family security. Do you agree with those? Disagree? Have any more to add?
Okay. On generational trauma, part of me is like, it's almost like genetic trauma, honestly, because it's the gene that allows them to astral project, right? Because Josh didn't even know that he could do it.
Well, that's because, okay. This is not a spoiler for chapter 2 because chapter 2 just delves into it and more. Okay. Josh as the child could astral project and go into this land called the Further, which is, just his spiritual body kind of milling about. He's, astral projection, lucid dreaming. He's out and about. And if you are a living, breathing human whose spiritual body leaves your vessel, that can attract other spirits, some more harmful than others, to your living, breathing body. Some of them want to possess it for life again. Some of them have a more insidious agenda. That's a direct quote. Thank you. Also something more sinister. I like the early 2010s where we just had like adjectives as movie titles: Insidious, Sinister, Krampus.
Wait, that's a noun. That's his name.
I know.
It took me a second.
Because I know you like that movie. So Josh, as a child, was involved in astral projection, had a scary lady haunting him, and then Lorraine brought in Elise for help, and they were able to help Josh. And to make sure it never happened again, they erased his memory, like hypnotized him, so he wasn't aware that he had this capability whatsoever. So when Dalton is experiencing the same thing that we eventually find out is the cause of this not coma, Josh is so incredulous because his mom is like, yes, like this is true. And he's like, how do I not know about it? And they're like, what? We kind of manipulated you your whole life too. So
Okay.
I think it's
Yeah.
really beautiful as a storytelling device to have like the performances and like the complexity because this could be a very bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like truly like the plot itself is kind of paper thin, but it's just told so well, it's acted so well, the shots are beautiful. We talked about the sound design, like it's a masterpiece, if you ask me.
Okay, so I can see that then. I'm following what you're putting down there. Um, and do, tell me what you mean by family security then.
Finding out your parents have been lying to you for your entire adult life. Hmm?
Fair enough.
Not in the Princess Diaries kind of way.
Not the good kind of secrets.
Not, oh, you're actually so rich, famous, and powerful.
Yeah, and part of me is like, I think his mom really had the best interest for him and was like, surely this will never backfire. Like,
Well,
how is she supposed to know that her grandson was gonna be affected like this as well?
and nothing like this specifically happened to Josh with like a coma.
Right.
So as the months have passed and they've tried so many other things, she doesn't think about it until she's had her dream, which we will also discuss.
And I wondered, like, why is it taking Lorraine so long to come forward and be like, "Oh, hey, by the way, this is probably something." But I forgot that Josh never really got to the point of the sleep. Like he never got that far in his thing. And the only thing that kept Josh from doing what Dalton did was that he had a healthy fear, whereas Dalton did not possess that fear. He just thought he was dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't see it as real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you want to go kind of scene by scene, or do we just want to focus on our specific topics? Because we've summarized, you
Mm-hmm.
know, they start in one house, they move to the next, which I'd like to point out. So we've said at the beginning of the movie, the Lamberts have moved into this house. Then, as shit is going down, Renee says that she's had enough of it and she can't stay in this house. And the white people move, which, especially in 2010, is a really big step forward for like horror tropes because
Mm-hmm.
everyone's like, why wouldn't you just leave? And it's like, well, they fucking did, and it followed them.
Yeah.
So,
And to make that kind of financial decision that quickly is crazy.
well, yeah, and I assume they're in California. I feel like everything's always California with James Wan minus The Conjuring because that's Northeast. Um, 2010, also housing market terrible,
Yeah.
but this is something that both Katrina and I had noted. So like Renee is I don't want to call her a housewife, but she does just stay at home with the kids. But we all we know is that she's like some kind of musician or songwriter or something because she's playing piano. She talks about writing. She and Josh talk about her songs. And she says something like, thank you for doing this and letting me take some time off my music. We have absolutely zero clue of what has happened with this family before they've moved into this house, which is supposed to be some kind of new beginning for them.
Yeah, and we really don't even know why they moved in the first place because when they discuss Josh's career, she was like, they've never had you stay this late. Why are you staying so late before? So it's not even like he moved to a new school district to start teaching. So it wasn't for
Hmm.
his job.
Good point.
And I'm wondering if maybe they were having weird things happen and she was just uncomfortable because she seems very sensitive to all of this. Like, and
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
that I think as a part of me thinks like some of these experiences that people have, like it's very much an individual kind of experience depending on how sensitive you are. Like for me, I have never experienced anything paranormal in my life that I can like be like, yeah, but there are people in my life that have been like, oh yeah, I've seen this, I've heard this, and I'm like, I was even there for some, like, I in the same house, and I'm like, I got nothing.
Or like when my house was haunted.
Oh God, dear. You still live in the same building though. Come on.
I
He can find you.
I did move apartments, but I'm in the same building.
You moved to states and then came back to the same apartment complex building.
Come and get me, motherfucker. No,
Although
like there was like a point, like I woke up, my bed was shaking. I heard like banging. I'm still here, guys. I'm still here.
yeah. Well, I'll ask Yuri if she's fine with me sharing it, but she said that there was one time she was laying in bed and she opened her eyes and there were just like shadow people around her.
Oh, hell no.
Like standing around her, and she said, like, what do you want? And they all just went away. Like, I will say I have heard footsteps in my house. But like one time Yuri was like doing something facing this way, and the girls, she was FaceTiming her nieces, and they could have swore they saw like a shadow or something walk behind, but I wasn't home. And then another time she said she swore she heard me say babe, like loud as clear as day, and I wasn't home that day either.
Who would want to impersonate you?
Truly. I'm the one and only.
Also, so true. So, I mean, yeah, she potentially could be so sensitive because she is experiencing more things and seeing things that Josh isn't experiencing, but that also leads to a point of tension that they kind of end up having right before they move of Josh avoiding the issues at home, and Renee is stuck physically in the house because she's taking care of Dalton, who is in a coma, Callie, who is a baby, and I mean, of course, there's a middle child, but who cares about them? and she's in the house doing her, I say work because apparently she's something with music, but we don't know. But it's we get just enough information about them to realize them as people and like get into it. Like there's not a lot of build up before like the story starts playing out.
Which is fine with me. Like, I'd rather just like give me the information I need and let's get going.
Right.
Like, I don't need 45 minutes of backstory.
Well, yeah, and even in like one of the first scenes, like it's the first morning that we have, Renee is in the kitchen with the two boys and the baby and trying to feed everybody, but she's getting mugs out of a box to give them cereal, and it's because they don't have any bowls because they're unpacking. She's balancing the baby on her hip. She's on the phone going, representative, representative. Meanwhile, we just go up to Josh, who's in the bathroom, who's like washing his face and brushing his teeth, and then he's like grooming and looking at himself, and it's like, Josh,
like no sense of urgency at all. Like, can you not hear what's happening in your kitchen downstairs?
No, he literally goes downstairs with his briefcase and like pats his son on the head and then takes a bite of a wax fruit. And he's like,
and then he has the audacity. Did you buy any?
Where have you been, sir?
Yeah, it's your fucking house too. Which I think there's a lot of women who are married to men who can, I feel like they can relate to that. And I don't think that Josh in this movie does anything out of malice or even really incompetence. Like, he's not a bad father. He's not a bad husband. Like,
I think this is just like a character trait that we see of him not being present and not being, I hate to say comfortable, but like if there is a whisper of stress or tension, take a look around. Do you see him anywhere? News flash. You're not gonna.
Sometimes I think I do that. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want to think about all the things I have to do, so I'm like, I'm just gonna watch TikTok instead. So it's like,
Can you
oh, you want to?
imagine the family vlogging that Renee would have done? So it's been 3 months and our son is still in a coma. We don't know what's going
Oh.
on.
Link in bio for our GoFundMe to help with the medical bills and the upkeep and.
But she would have started singing her songs on TikTok and then they would be fine.
Mhm.
Write
If they
that,
were
write that
good.
down. Well, Josh liked them because they were all about him.
Well, he didn't even know. He's like, you should write a song about me. She's like, they're all about you.
And he's like, that's why it's my favorite.
Shut up.
So, I guess, do you want to discuss like what's your favorite haunt in this movie?
Haunt. I can tell you what my least favorite one is.
Okay.
We're all about the negative here, if you didn't know. Um, I hate it. I made a comment on it, and you probably read it, but I was like, there is a reason I don't have a record player in my house. So, little children ghost can't play Tiptoe Through the Tulips and dance creepily in an old style clothing in my house.
I know he's doing like his little Carlton like waving
Yeah,
his hands.
in his little
Oh,
like 20s outfit.
I'm like my armpits are sweating because in our Black Phone episode, like when we talked about through the tulips, and it was so scary, and then I turned on this movie and it happened, and it like it does a little record scratch from the music she was playing to this, and I was just like, no, no, no. But this is why I'm saying like it gets really even more intense in when they move because Renee had been haunted during the day, like the baby monitor stuff, and like seeing. Well, no, I think just seeing the guy was all a night. So maybe the only daytime one before they moved is the baby monitor.
Yeah, there was a baby monitor. Well, and even Dalton was talking about I don't like how no, sorry. Foster was talking about how I don't like how Dalton walks around at night. Bro, what do you mean? Bro, he's sleeping. He's not getting up and waltzing around. So what do
That
you mean?
that was always like a scary point too, because so Dalton and Foster have like a Jack and Jill bathroom where that connects their bedrooms, and where their beds are. If the bathroom doors are open, you can see each other through the bathroom. And Foster has middle child syndrome. When Renee's putting him to bed, finds like he got some award at school, and she's like, "Why didn't you tell anyone?" And he's just like, because obviously they have bigger fish to fry at home."
Mhm.
But I think that they're still like they're as supportive as they can be with parents. But I mean, who prepares you for situations like this? Like,
Yeah.
what do you do? So Foster says he doesn't like when Dalton walks around at night, and then we see Foster at night, and you hear like the little heart monitor thing, like just beeping like normal. The music's like a little tiny bit creepy, like it's more like just sounds. And Foster is just like staring at Dalton. And then, when you're a kid and you like work up the gumption to like go close the door.
Mhm.
But we never see Dalton do anything. Like there's not even like a shadow that crosses, like there's nothing. So James Wan is truly a master of like, you're just waiting that you think something's in the corner, something's happening, and then everything else in the story is telling you something's there, but you just don't see it. And he does this in The Conjuring too. Oh no, he does this in The Conjuring also. It's in the first Conjuring where the sisters that share the bedroom, Nancy and Christine, I think, Joey King, and then the girl who played the daughter on Lie to Me. I can't remember her name. Um, but they're in their bedroom and Christine wakes up, Joey King, who I saw at the Eras Tour night one in Kansas City. Um, she sees something behind the door like their bedroom door that's open. And she's like pointing, she's like, it's right there. I see it. And I have watched this movie 700,000 times. I've literally gone on like Reddit to be like, is there actually anything there? And I just can't see it. And I can't find anything that says like there is something there. But that scene is so frightening because you're just like, you're convinced something is there. So this is just like a James Wan signature. And it works.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's your imagination is scarier than what the director can come up with and put on a screen, basically, because you're just gonna think the worst thing possible.
Well, and James Wan is also good at giving me the worst things that I can think of. So it's he's just mean, really.
Yeah. Rude.
So it is the Tiptoe Through the Tulips your least favorite because of its efficacy or because like you don't enjoy it?
Children. No, I'm just kidding. No, I didn't like it because I don't want it to happen to me. That's probably like, I think it's scarier when it happens in the broad daylight almost. Because it's like they're even more bold to be doing it during the day. And then when she follows him, he jumps out of the fucking wardrobe at her
And laughs.
and laughs and runs away like it's funny. No, don't do that. No running in my house, first of all. What do you think you're doing? No, but I don't know. I wish I had more like information or backstory on the jawless guy that like tries to make out with Renee multiple times. Ew, Rachel. No,
I want more information too.
no, no. We're cutting this out. I'm not gonna let you put this on there.
Did you not see my note?
No.
Let me find it.
You
I got
better
a
not
couple
have put
good
that
notes in
tongue
here.
though.
Well,
It's a little bit later in the thing because like
here.
that's when her breaking point is, like when she's like, we gotta move.
I highlighted it.
Where? Tell me the line number.
91.
91. That's so far down. Disgusting.
So what we're referencing, and you're right, it does happen twice. So the spirit that we see the most besides the lipstick face demon is like the guy with like the long hair and like the leather jacket. He's a little baddie, but he's also the voice on the baby monitor and everything. Well, yeah, we don't get to know anything about him either. And he's also in the further like blocking the door to the demon. So we really don't know. I would love like a buddy comedy with lipstick face and this guy.
Part of me feels like he's in it with lipstick face. Like he's maybe like the demon's like maybe not a guard, but like
his right
partner in
hand.
crime. Yeah, like his partner in crime, or maybe their
Maybe.
boyfriends.
Could be. But so
It
the
is
note.
Pride Month.
So the scene I'm referring to is like the quote unquote seance that they have at the second house once they've already gotten Elise involved in everything. And then they have like a breakthrough, but because the veil between the natural and the supernatural world has been opened for that point, we see kind of like all the monster horror ghosty guys all around, and then the one grabs Renee and shoves her against the wall, and Katrina calls him jawless. I say that he just has a really long tongue, and he like has her against the wall and his like tongue sticks out, and then Josh, being the hero, like goes to defend his woman, which is also hot, but then he sees the guy and he's just like, ooh, but he punches him, and that's very hot. So either way, but I put in my note, all the ghosties infiltrate the room. Yes, Katrina, I did think that was hot.
Part of me just knew And I was like, it's not right, Rachel. It's not right.
But I put right after that, Josh protecting Renee. Yay!
Yeah. I do really enjoy the relationship between Specs and what's his name?
Tucker.
Guys. Yeah, Specs and Tucker. Like they're like, my thing's really important and blah 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 in science. And he's like, yeah, but my stuff is blah 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 important and all this. But and then at the very end, they're like, we both, we both need our each other. Shut
Yeah.
up. Aren't you supposed to be fighting? It's like a brotherly thing almost. Like it's competition. And Elise is the mother. Like,
Well, did you know that Specs is Lee Winnell, the writer?
I did not.
Specs is Lee Winnell. Lee Winnell likes to be in his movies. He's also Adam in the first Saw. So the very first character we ever see in Saw is the writer. Put me in my adaptation. I'll do it.
You can be Janelle.
I'm not as pretty as Janelle. Janelle's beautiful.
You're beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbie.
Ends. No, okay. You're welcome.
What did I say to you? I texted Katrina something. I was like, are you even sisters? What did I say?
Oh. Something about threatening to kill you or something like that. Hold on.
I'll look it up. It's not here somewhere. Are you even sisters if you don't make a joke out of killing each other?
Answer's no. But then, like, also on the same thing, if anybody ever threatened your sister to kill them, you'd be like, nobody kills my sister but me. Like, you don't get to touch her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
when I went to school, I had older sisters that people kind of knew and were slightly afraid of. So I was like, my sisters will beat you up if you're mean to me. And it kind of worked, but then I switched schools and wasn't effective anymore.
but you had it while it lasted.
I did.
Yeah. So after the Lamberts have moved and the hauntings, quote unquote, are still going on, this is where we're introduced to Lorraine, Josh's mom, and it seems like Lorraine and Renee have a really good relationship. Like Lorraine kind of picks up Renee emotionally because Renee is like, I'm sorry, you have to like help us move again and do all this stuff. Like we just went through this. And Lorraine just puts a stop to it. She's like, nobody can understand what you're going through right now. And whatever you have to do to get through it, do it. And you don't often see that kind of relationship portrayed. And I think that's really great.
Yeah. Because I think like a strained relationship between your spouse's like parents can really put a strain on your relationship with your own spouse and children as well. So like having that like close, comfortable relationship, I think is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lorraine also understands like that is one thing that I do like is that obviously Josh is going to be a mama's boy because like it seems like she was basically a single mother, like raising him. But she doesn't continue to baby her son or think that her son does no wrong.
Oh yeah, she's just like a solid person.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that can cause a lot of strain on relationships as well, is like having a toxic mother-in-law of like who has a son. It's like, ugh. Like if you want to be in a relationship with your son, like that's just too far. Like you're basically
all the boy moms.
Yeah, it's weird.
It
like
is
if
weird.
they big don't do it, guys. Stop it.
Yeah, so Renee is still trying to seek help Josh makes a joke when he comes home and there's a priest with Renee on the couch, and he's like, isn't this like the beginning of the joke? Like a man comes home to find his wife with a priest. And then the priest just kind of leaves. Oh God, my ring light. Haunted. Um, but Renee just is like, this is still going on. Like, we need help. I can't take it anymore. And then Lorraine offers up, I need to tell you guys something. And she explains her dream that she had where she was asleep and in their house and went into Dalton's room and saw this figure in the corner that we build up, and it's a really great shot. So you have Lorraine at the head of the dining table, Renee on Lorraine's right, Josh on Lorraine's left, and you just get single shots of each of them going back and forth into this like dreamscape, and you see like the silhouette of the demon in the corner with his like long body, hooved feet, hairy, like furry legs, like silhouette, and then like the outstretch of his very long arm. And it's like the signature sound of the lipstick face demon. Oh, now I'm getting scared because all my lights are off except my ring light, and I couldn't see if anything was going to attack me. Is like this creaking sound. So anytime you're hearing like creaking in the Insidious movies, like that's the motif, that it's the lipstick face demon. I don't like him. And so you're getting these shots of like each one, and then like you don't even notice like the camera is like slowly panning in on each, or zooming in on each character like in between the story. And Lorraine says that basically the demon wants Dalton.
Oh no, are you crying? Go turn your light on. Go. Right now.
It's okay. It's fine.
Is it?
Well, the ring light's going off, that's for sure. The ring light that you got me. This is your fault.
I knew you were gonna blame me, and I'll take it. She needs a second, you guys.
We get to the scariest part of the scariest movie of all time. And now it's like a meme. But then they're building up that this demon wants Josh, and then the lipstick face like appears over Josh after Lorraine has said that, and scares the shit out of Lorraine. And she's like, oh fuck, like he's here. So like she's seeing him in real life, like it's real business, guys. Now I have like, oh God, look who I have over me.
It scared me a little bit. It kind of reminded me of Sinister for a second.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Thanks, Taylor.
So I'm okay. Everything is so fine. But so this is where we are introduced to Elise. That Lorraine says that she has like potential solution to what's going on. I will let Katrina talk while I let my heartbeat get back to normal.
You should definitely check your Apple Watch and see how your heart rate got just now. Oh,
I couldn't
dang
donate
it.
plasma earlier because they said my pulse was too high, and I was like, I've literally been sitting down, but I guess my book was too good that I was reading in line.
It's going everywhere. Yeah, so Elaine shows up, and the first thing she's, oh man, why do I keep saying Elaine?
Because there's Lorraine.
Lorraine and Elise. Anyway. When Elise arrives, the first thing she says to Josh is, you've grown since I last saw you. And it's one of those awkward moments where you're like, shit, I should know this person, but I have no freaking clue who you are.
Oh, can I interject?
Yeah.
So we were introduced to Specs and Tucker first. Specs is Lee Winnell, and he is getting all of his like electromagnetic wave things ready talking about like how they can determine if there's just like something going on. And Tucker has his little like kaleidoscope viewfinder thing that they're like the different infrared can read different spiritual things. And Renee and Josh are looking at each other like, okay. But that's like where Katrina was talking about, like, they're like, oh, my stuff's better. Well, my stuff's better. They're like, well, you couldn't do your stuff without my stuff and blah, blah, blah. But they're just funny. And honestly, like, truly at this point, and I was watching it the last time, I'm like, I needed this comic relief because I am on fucking edge. And I am right now. And then Tucker, he's going through the house with his little viewfinder, kind of like the colors are going through, and the grandfather clock is involved to your merit. But then he's like flipping it through, and then we do see like two little ghosty girls. And they like smile at him, and he like slowly backs into the room, and he's like, okay, we can call Elise now. So I like that they already have like a built-in like foolproofer thing.
Like a process to make sure they're not crazy.
Well, yeah, that, and I think, and Josh says this later too, after Elise gives her little spiel about what she thinks is going on. He's like, you guys are just cracks, you know, seeing a vulnerable family trying to make a few bucks doing your own thing, like whatever. But I understand his emotion, and Elise and the guys, they take it in stride. But it's like, you know, you guys have been experiencing these things, and then we were trying to prove it wrong first.
Right. Yeah, well, it's a lot of information to process all at once. So I can understand Josh needing a minute and being like, let me think about this. And then I'll come back to you. Like, thanks for your there's always nicer ways to say things, but you don't always have to say things nicely.
Well, he wasn't.
And Elise, no. But I mean, I'm sure Elise has been told much meaner things in her time with the line of work that she's in, being a medium, psychic, however you want to call it. But
you were talking about Elise showing up to the house. And I thought it was really funny how Tucker put her purse like over his shoulder completely.
Yeah.
He's like, this is mine now. He's like, let me take your coat, let me do all this stuff. Like, very gentlemanly. But I love when guys do that. Like, they just put the whole purse on. Like, I love that.
Just, if you're gonna claim it, yeah. I do feel like if we were people in this movie, you would be Specs and I would be Tucker.
Absolutely. No question.
Like, maybe that's what we need to do going forward, is like assign ourselves characters of who would be who in what movie.
Well, and I think that does kind of work because Tucker has his own like science for how he's doing stuff, and Specs, he is a little bit of an observer. Like, he kind of partners with Elise and is like taking the notes and transcribing what's going on during the seance and what's being said back and forth. She's describing Lipstick's face when she sees him in Dalton's room, like just directly above them, and he's drawing it out. So I mean, he's kind of like a helper. Yeah. Also, he wrote it, so I'm like, yeah, that's me.
And he's like at the end they're talking about like, oh, I'm gonna write a book, and Specs is like, or no, Tucker's like, a picture's worth 1,000 words, and Specs goes, 1,000 words is worth 1,000 words, and I'm like, that's the exact argument that Rachel and I would have. The exact, like, it would be word for word.
Well, and when Specs is like going through the house, like looking at stuff too, and he's like, oh my gosh, and Josh and Renee think that there's like something happening, and he just pulls out like some action figure out of a box and like says what it is, and then he's like, you should have kept it in its box. It's just like dumb stuff like that.
Yeah.
Also, Katrina, would you want to run around just eating Hot Pockets all the time? I wouldn't blame you. That sounds like a great life.
I'm not, like, honestly, I'm not opposed. It just can't always be ham and cheese, and then I'm fine.
ham and
You
cheese,
need some
pepperoni
variety.
pizza.
I like the sausage. I like the breakfast Hot Pockets the best, though.
You would.
Listen, breakfast. I love breakfast. Period.
I'm going to our Instagram right now, and I'm putting up a poll on people's favorite Hot
Hot
Pockets.
Pocket. It's the breakfast ones.
I will put
Most
that as an
definitely.
option.
Okay. They're gonna win. Because I'm gonna vote on both accounts.
Okay. Carry on.
Anyway, so tune in next movie podcast to see who we assign ourselves next time. I'm not.
I thought you were like signing us off, and I'm like, I'm not done talking.
No, if we ever got a movie that Rachel was in love with done in two recording sessions, it would be a miracle. It would be because she died. But
I almost did this time.
Oh, I just thought about it. One of my favorite haunts, as you mentioned earlier, was the creepy smiley girl that we see at the grandfather clock.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's two of them, but when Josh is in the further at the end, this is one of the somewhat backstories that we get on any of the ghosts. And basically we see like a 50s family sitting on a couch together, like three of them side by side, and then there's this girl that's ironing, has an ironing board, and a different girl is in the dining room, and Josh is trying to talk to her, trying to ask her a question, and then she pulls out a rifle, and he's like, oh, gotta go. Gotta blast. And we hear 3 shots, and then when we peer into the living room, there's blood coming down the couch where she had murdered her whole family, basically.
Well, and should have been standing there.
They were sitting, first of all. And she just smiles kind of at Josh, and he's like, oh shit, I gotta go for real. Because this bitch is crazy. So yeah. I liked that we got at least one ghost backstory.
That does work. Well, and to bring up this point, because I don't know, our new format is we just talk about things in the movie. We're not going scene by scene anymore, because fuck us, I guess. One of my favorite haunts is not a haunt, actually. So with the further, you're playing with time and space. It's like, another world. So toward the beginning of the movie, Renee and Josh are in their bedroom in the first house, and they're just talking, and then they hear like a door knock, and they're like, who the fuck is at our house? And Josh goes down, there's nobody there, sets the alarm, and then there's more knocking, and then he's on the first floor of the house, like looking around, like turning on all the lights, grabs a fireplace poker, nod to when a stranger calls, and he's trying to find something, because he's gone back upstairs once and there's been nobody there, and he's with Renee and Callie, the baby, in their room, and then the alarm goes off. So then when Josh goes back downstairs, the front door is open. So then he starts looking around, like on the first floor, turning on all the lights. Who the fuck is in my house? And that's a very scary moment too, because at that point we have Renee, who's already had the baby monitor voices come through and like scream at her. She goes into the baby's room, and then we see the tongue guy, the scary guy, like in the silhouette behind like the little baby crib canopy thing. So like we know something's going on. Our assumption is, maybe this spirit is physical because we're seeing him, he's there. But what it turns out to be is when Josh is going into the further to find Dalton to bring him back, Dalton doesn't know that he's moved. Dalton still thinks he's in his house. So Dalton's like spirit kind of quote unquote calls to Josh where Josh can find him. And Josh goes back to the first house. So then he's banging on the door, which ends up being the same time that Josh and Renee in real life were experiencing something going on and knocking on their door. And then Josh is able to bust in the door. So when real Josh comes downstairs, the door's open and the alarm's going off because Josh has to make his way through the house. He sees your ghosty girls and then finds his way up to the attic where Dalton had his accident at first, and then finds this red door, which becomes another portal to where Lipstick Face is holding Dalton. Which I also have a question. So, as Elise has explained, that these spirits and entities have the capability in varying degrees of power to take over this living, breathing vessel since Dalton's spirit has left it. And this demon keeps physically coming around Dalton's body and has not yet actually possessed him, but he's shackled Dalton's spiritual body in his little playhouse thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if the demon knows exactly when, how, why, where, what Dalton's spiritual body is, how has he not possessed the physical body yet?
Well, I think it has to do with, so Elaine at one point
Who?
talked, again.
This is not
Elise-
Sharon and Rose.
It is. At one point, Elise talked about how the connection between the spiritual and the physical body weakens the longer you're away from it. So I think that's why the demon has him shackled, is because, well, I think somebody asked her, like, why hasn't he done it already? And she talks about, well, it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy, but the time is different in the further than it is here. So
yes.
So it's one of those questions where, like, how much time has it been since, it's been months in the physical realm. In the further, it could have been a week, I guess.
Well, I see that. But why does Lipstick Face keep physically showing up in the house? Because if it's just a matter of time, the more time Dalton's spiritual body is away from his physical body, he's more susceptible to the possession. But I control your spiritual body. I'm holding it in this place. Why is Lipstick Face expending his own energy to go to where Dalton's physical body is?
Maybe in a sense, he's like protecting his investment, kind of like he's trying to make sure other entities and spirits don't possess him. So he's like kind of guarding Dalton for himself almost. And maybe that's why the leather jacket tongue guy keeps showing up too, is to protect Dalton from other entities. Because why didn't the Bride in Black not take Dalton instead of Josh? Was always what I thought, because it's a descendant. I mean, she's obviously like attached to Josh in a way, but like, why not do the second best thing and take his son? I always wondered that.
You're bringing up a lot of great points.
Thank you. That's what I'm here for. That's what I get paid for. Just kidding. We don't get paid.
I wish. Any advertisers? And if you wanna, it's open. No, I love that. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I guess also it could be maybe the demon doesn't know how long it takes, so he just keeps showing up as like, today the day.
Yeah, he's just like, what about now? You ready now?
Oh god, that movie's very fucking scary. And
And maybe it takes longer because he keeps expending the energy to visit, and every time he visits, it increases the time that it takes him to come back because it weakens him.
I think all of these things are true.
Somebody send an email to James Wan. Tell him we broke the code.
I know this movie came out a decade and a half ago, but I got it now. I understand. Anymore.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
You hear that?
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
That too. Yeah, I mean, there's
So I think that the unsung hero of this movie, though, is Renee. She kind of just held the whole family together. Like she was the glue to this family and deserves all the props.
she really goes through it. And I think especially like, of course, this is our Father's Day episode. We've been talking about hot dad, hot ghost. This is a female gaze podcast. And Renee and Rose Byrne's performance of Renee is so relatable. Like, I'm not a mom, I'm not a homeowner, I'm not a I would say I'm not a songwriter, but George and Shaniqua know otherwise. But she's so relatable, and especially as a woman, she goes through these experiences that we can relate to from the sense of being really overwhelmed. It looks like she's unsupported. She is trying to do her own thing while doing 10,000 other things as well. Then she's dealing with Josh's avoidance. And then I put in one of my notes somewhere about how Renee's just like attacked on every level of this movie. Like, because she's home, she's being haunted, she's hearing the voices, she's seeing the ghosts, beyond the fact, because both of them are dealing with the fact that Dalton is in a coma, but she is the one there being taught how to use the feeding tube, changing the sheets. We don't see Josh and the home health nurse ever interacting. It's only ever Renee. So this burden is exponentially larger on Renee, and she's just kind of taking it all. And then we have the argument where Josh is being so avoidant. And then it's like all the stuff is happening really to Renee. But then it turns out, and it's all Josh's fault. It's all his fault anyway.
Ugh, the audacity. For him to say, like, well, we gotta pay for Dalton's medical bills. Like
your salary, bitch.
Like throwing that in her face. Shut the fuck up. Get out of my face.
It's such a cop out. And he knows in that argument. So he's stayed at work a couple times. This is still while they're in their first house. Like, he's staying at work really late. And there's one point where Renee and the home health nurse are talking, and which is James Wan's wife. And she's only in a couple scenes. Like, the first scene, she's showing Renee how to do the feeding tube because they've brought Dalton home now. It's been 3 months that he was in the hospital, and they have no answers. So he's at home. And then they have another thing where Renee's just kind of like, I never thought like this was gonna happen to me. Like, what do you do? And the nurse is just really supportive. It's like, you're a tough bitch, basically. It's like, you're doing it. And then the nurse is gonna change Dalton sheets, and Renee's just like, I'll do it. Like, it's fine. Which leads into the scare of Renee lifts up like the top blanket and then sees like a little mess under Dalton's foot, and then she pulls the sheet, and it's like a big scary like hand claw mark that's all in red, assuming blood. But Dalton isn't injured or anything like that, so it's just scary. Renee is outside, and then Josh comes home, and she's like, it's 10:30, where you been? And he's like, oh, we just had a meeting, blah blah blah. And she's like, bullshit.
Yeah.
So that's where they get in, where Renee's like, I feel like I'm so alone here. I'm doing all this. And I'm going through it all. And Josh is like, well, I'm going through it too. And she's like, well, you're not going through it with me. And he's like, I'm just dealing with it in my own fucking way. Because it's PG-13. You only get one fuck for a movie. So when I watched it the last time, I was like, that's where you used your one fuck. If I had a fuck to give, mine would go when lipstick face pops out, and I'd be like, fuck.
That would be involuntary, so
it was in the script. But then Renee throws the sheet at him, and she's like, well, deal with this. And then he sees the culprit, and then, like, they don't talk about it anymore. She just leaves him and goes inside.
yeah.
But it's like she's going through all of these things, and it's just insane. And then later, after Elise tells her story of explaining the further and what she thinks is going on with Dalton, and Josh is trying to like throw everyone out. He's like, I'm not listening to this crazy talk. And Renee is frantic. She's just like, we have to keep trying something. Like, maybe this will work. And then Renee's like, you don't believe me. And he doesn't say that he doesn't believe her, but he's like, I moved houses for you. And I'm just like, they love each other so much. They're just going through a really hard time.
Yeah, it's hard to like, and like he never calls her crazy. He never like, I don't remember him like gaslighting her intentionally. That I like, he's never like, oh, it's the wind, or it's an old house, things creak, you know.
No, he doesn't. He asks her questions trying to understand, and that's what he says. But Renee says several times, I need you to believe me. And he does say in the first house, he's like, I believe you. But then like stuff just keeps happening, and he's just so incredulous, but also his mind has been wiped, like to where this stuff is not a realm of possibility. So it's kind of both. Oh, you have a question.
I have a thought. Okay, I understand Monday through Friday, things are happening constantly in the house, right? And he's at work, so he's not there to witness any of it. So do the ghosts take Friday and Saturday off, or Saturday and Sunday off? And so like there's no ghosty activity anymore? Or are they just like out of the house, but like still have to take care of Dalton, so they can't leave the house like that? So like what's happening on the weekends?
You're making great points.
Just throwing that out there.
Well, and I would also just go ahead.
I was thinking, like, I wish maybe, Josh had stayed home a few days, like from work, to maybe see if he witnessed anything. But then I'm like, wait, he's home on the weekends. Like, ghosts don't have a schedule. Like, what is going on?
I would wonder, because the only true passage of time we have confirmed is that it's just 3 months from the time that Dalton goes in the coma to when he comes home. Mm-hmm. We don't have another specific passage of time. And in the first thing, so like the first scene is like Renee waking up, Josh is snoring because he has no problems in his life and he's just sleeping happy dappy. Renee goes downstairs, she's looking through like some boxes and stuff, and then we're introduced to Dalton. And I made this a point, like they're wearing matching pajamas, Mom and Dalton.
Eye roll. Who wears pants to bed? Crazy people.
These are families who are wholesome, but I think there's also a point, like they're showing like they have a strong family connection, like they even wear matching pajamas. Mm-hmm. So that's just where my mind goes to. But then we have the kitchen scene where Josh is not helping get breakfast ready, but then he comes home and he's like, wow, you've done so much. And she's like, yeah, I unpacked everything. And I'm like, there's no fucking way this is the same day. Because we also saw her, presumably the same day, working and writing on their piano. Mm-hmm. So like, there is absolutely no way that you unpacked this at least 4-bedroom, 2-story plus attic house all by yourself. Like, you could be Superwoman, but I just don't believe that. So like, I like to think maybe it's just been like a couple days and she's just really been killing it. Maybe it almost one day because it's a movie, but I just don't believe it. And
No.
then
Well, and the kids get stir crazy in a new house, and like he's exploring the attic or whatever. That's normal, but I don't think he'd be doing that on day one either.
you're right. You're right. I don't think it's the same, like nearly the same
I
day they
think
move in that he gets.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So we have an indeterminable amount of time up until coma. Then it's 3 months. And then some time is passing, and then the haunts are just happening at various points. Like we don't even know. So this could just be the movie showing us the haunts that are happening. And maybe there's lots, because it's not like Renee is waking up every day, like what's gonna happen. She's just going about her
Right.
business when stuff is happening. And they have to get their house on the market, sell it, I guess not disclose that they got supernatural shit happening in there. That's why they leave, which is the premise of another movie, which
Mm-hmm.
would happen. But then they buy and are already moving into their second house, about halfway through ish. And then how long are we spending until the end of the movie?
Right. You can't tell.
So we really don't know. So to your point of do ghosts take a break on the weekend? It's like I don't know when anything is happening anyway.
I guess that's fair because the movie makes it seem like it's happening all the time and it's nonstop, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's framed kind of like a paranormal activity where the camera's only rolling, they're only showing you like the action parts of what they caught, basically. Have you watched Paranormal Activity? Did you like it?
I watched the first one when I was in college, and that also scared me a lot. And then I never saw any of the others because I would have to watch in sequence, and I heard something happens to a dog in the second one, so I've never watched any others.
Hmm. I don't remember which one. I think it was like four or something like that. It gets crazy.
How many are there?
Or talk and I'll search, but
I just don't know. Um,
I feel like they started running out of like,
Plot.
yeah.
I mean, I liked the first one. I mean, I think it was very scary. Also, okay, so the TV show Catfish with
Mm-hmm.
Neve.
Mm-hmm.
Neve, and you know that was based on the documentary about Neve, right?
Yes.
That his brother and his brother's like film partner filmed.
Yeah.
The brother and the film partner directed the first Paranormal Activity.
Really?
Yeah,
Did none of that. There are seven.
that kind of sounds like what I thought there would be, but I don't know anything except number one.
I probably skipped a few, I feel like, because I think I've seen like one, two, four, and seven. I don't know.
Do any of them have a? Are they all standalones? I really don't know.
Um, maybe there's like paranormal one, two, three, four, and then the marked ones, the ghost dimension, and then next of kin.
Oh, okay. Paranormal Activity standalones. I'm not saying this is a movie we're doing next month. I'm just
No.
looking it up.
Oh, now there's a number 8. The other side?
Okay, there's a chronological order. I just want to know.
This is saying chronological is so I'm
Oh,
guessing they're all
it says Paranormal Activity 3 is a prequel.
and so it's 2.
Oh,
It says the chronological is 3, 2, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7.
oh, dang it. Have you seen 2?
I think so, yeah. That's the one with the crib.
Is what happens to the dog really bad?
I don't remember.
Ugh.
Let me look up the does the dog die?
Well, I know the dog must die. They put a
But
dog in
they
a horror
do.
movie.
Not all of them do. It says the dog does not die. The demon does harm it, but the father takes the dog to the vet. And then they mention that it's rehabbing at a hospital. So it doesn't die, but it is hurt. But it does get better.
Almost worse because it's in pain.
I could watch it and let you know.
Well, I can't watch it.
I'll be a filter. Anyway.
Yeah.
Back to Insidious. Oops. I still need to watch The Red Door. It's on Netflix, but I wanted to watch 2 because I've seen chapter 2 and I really like it. But I feel like there are a lot of parts that I don't remember.
Well,
So
probably, yeah, because it's so different. That's one thing I really love. Oh my gosh. So I was doing an Insidious rewatch with Marissa several months ago, and we were just on the phone, and then I just let the credits play through on Insidious, the first one. There's an end credit scene. Did you see it?
no, I clicked out of it because I was rushing.
There's an end credit scene.
Is it good?
It's effective.
Is it about chapter 2
Yes.
and the Bride in Black? I assume.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to look at it after.
Ewy. Because I was just on the phone, and then I was like, and she's like, oh, I didn't know. And there's not one in the second. And then we did watch the third one, and I don't think there was one. And I haven't watched 4 in a while, and then we haven't watched 5. I saw 5 in theaters last year, and I haven't watched it again because I've been waiting on Marissa so we can watch it all, so I can watch it with her. But I'm like, I might as well just have to watch it, and then I'll rewatch it.
Yeah, I don't think there's an end credit on number 2, but there is like a transition scene at the end for chapter 3 for the prequel.
Yes.
Like the boys and Elise, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, but okay, yeah. So at the end of chapter 2, so well, I guess we didn't say this. I don't remember saying this. In Insidious 1. So they do their little seance thing. Josh has to go into the further to get back Dalton. Josh overpowers the demon in the further, gets back to their house in real life, and we see Dalton go into his bed, and then Dalton wakes up, and then we see Josh in the mirror window, whatever he is, being like, what do you want with me? Like, what's going on? Because what we've learned is that when Josh was a child, the Bride in Black was haunting him, reaching for him, and they started noticing that was happening because the Bride in Black was being captured on film when Lorraine would take pictures of Josh. Like, would be like far off in the distance and would slowly be getting closer and closer. And then they realized what was going on. Josh was hypnotized. He no longer has his astral projection abilities. Mind's wiped. Goodbye forever. And Josh, throughout the rest of his life, doesn't really ever take pictures. He's just photo averse. And Lorraine says one time when they're unpacking, like, I can't believe you got Josh to take a photo. And there's no sign of the Bride in Black in there that I remember. And the Bride in Black is one of the shadows that we see in the first credit scene opening up the movie. And she's very, very scary. And so we're still in the further. And Josh is like, what do you want with me? Like, what do you want? Like, who are you? What is going on? And we just see like the figure smile. And I hate that.
And then disappear. Like just fades into the mirror.
Hate it.
And I'm like, oh no. Well, here's the thing. I get you when I have your little confrontation. But how about you get back in your fucking body?
We're busy.
Yeah. Talk about it later.
Yeah. So this assumption is both Dalton and Josh have made it back to their bodies. Dalton wakes up, and then there's like a physical fight. Now Lipstick Face and the other entities are in the house, and they have to like beat him back. And then the scary thing where he's like hopping on the walls. I don't like it. I truly don't. Like, I remember when I just watched this time, I'm like, can't watch that. It's so scary to me. But we think when Josh wakes up in his body that it's all over. The two living souls have made it back to their lives. Renee is fawning all over Dalton, and he's like, I'm hungry.
He's
So-
like scarfing spaghetti and like, I'm tired. And she's like,
Yeah.
you've been asleep.
Renee's like, you're never going to sleep again.
True, fair. I'd be like every 30 minutes. You good? You
Yeah.
good?
I can't, I
The
really can't
panic.
imagine. And then Elise is in the living room with Josh, like she's doing something, and then Josh hands her something, and then Elise gets a weird face.
It's his photos.
His photos.
He's like, it was photos of him from like back in the day. He's
right.
like, I can't believe you kept these all these years, or something like that, and hands them back. I guess we won't need these anymore. And that's when she notices that something's off.
Yeah, just something is off. And Elise like looks up at Josh, and then she like really quickly grabs the big camera and takes a flash photo, and Josh is freaking out like, why would you do that? You know I hate having my picture taken, blah blah blah. And then he just lunges at her, chokes out Elise, like he kills her. He strangles her to death in their living room. And she has this look of horror on her face. And then Josh just kind of like disappears. And then Renee has heard a scuffle. And this is the thing. We have gotten like the sweeping shot, like when she was following like the little kid ghost around. But I'm like, she was in the kitchen and they were in the living room. How did you not hear this commotion a lot louder? That's like my sticking point.
Yeah, and Lorraine acted like she heard something because like he was like hitting her up against the chair, and she heard like a thump, 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 but like nobody investigated until it was too late.
Well, yeah. So Renee goes out to the living room and doesn't see anything, and then she walks around, and then she sees Elise dead in the chair, like strangled, like handprints around her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's freaking out. And
can't find Josh. Trying to yell for him.
And nobody else comes out. Then she picks up the camera, makes like a scared face, and then we get a little flashback that when Josh handed the photo back to Elise, we saw like a ghost hand. And then
like
Elise,
dirty fingernails, and
yeah. Elise took the picture, and then we see the flash of the bride in black. Like it goes from Josh's body, flash, bride in black, with like a creepy, like hovering smile, like big body, like he, and then just like, ghost like me, and then kills her. And then Josh, we hear his voice like, Renee, I'm right here. And she turns around and it's like, and then ding, Insidious. It's over. So we know Josh has been possessed. Which leads into Insidious Chapter 2.
Yeah,
but
that
then
one is.
To make that point, so very scary movie, scary from start to finish, that you don't get a fucking break, except for when Specs and Tucker are there. But then they're involved with the scares too. But then the end scene that Katrina was talking about is with Elise and Specs and Tucker, and then they're going to help some other girl with a little baby Jenna Ortega, by the way. The last time I watched it, I was like, wait a minute, I know those dimples. True scream queen, like from where she started. She is a scream queen. I have to give her some props.
And I started X, but I haven't finished it. I have like 40 minutes left of it. But
how do you start the movie and not finish it? It is so good.
I was very, very tired, and I wanted to be awake for the rest of it.
It's very good. What part are you at?
We'll cut this out, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm at the part where Pearl has stabbed RJ in the throat and killed him.
Wish it was me.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. I understand that they're like young people in prosthetics for the old couple, and like I get it, but at the same time, it throws me off a little bit because like sometimes like their skin doesn't move properly when it should, and I'm like, just get some old people.
You know that Mia Goth played Pearl and Maxine, right?
No,
it's Mia Goth as both.
So she's in a scene with herself?
Well, yeah.
Like the lemonade scene, like that's the same
Yeah.
actress.
Yeah.
Did not know that. So who plays the old man?
Uh, another guy in prosthetics, not one of like the
Oh, just another dude.
characters.
Oh, okay.
It's like another actor that they have done him up to be older.
Yeah.
But he's not another person.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Because Maxine is beautiful. Like, she's super pretty.
Oh.
Like,
One you've
good for her.
seen. Well, okay, so X came first, then Pearl is a prequel to X, and then Maxine that comes out really soon is
Mhm.
a sequel.
Yeah. And I assume Pearl is about Pearl. So,
Yeah, it's like 38 or something. It's great.
1938? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because X is like 1970
Oh,
something,
that makes sense. Yeah.
and then Maxine is in the 80s.
Mm. And I'm like, well, I know Maxine lives because there's a third movie named Maxine. So I'm like, I can make that deduction.
I think that would be a really, really good like trilogy to do.
Mhm.
It is
I
so
think
good.
it would be like I gotta watch it, but that I think it would fit our podcast. I watched Back Country yesterday. It was on Netflix. And it's about I do want to make sure that we can finish it up before we go. So basically, this couple left the city to go camping in the country, and after
Idiots.
setting up in the woods, they realize they've forgotten their phone and become lost, and then their fight for survival when they're stalked by a man-eating bear.
Oh, wait, is that the Timothy Olyphant one?
Is that like the director or something?
An actor?
Um,
I don't think so. There's something where
no, Jeff Roop and Missy Peregrine.
Lucy Peregrine. She's in Stick It.
Oh yeah. There's really not a lot of actors in this. The bear is named Chester. Didn't know the bear had a name.
Like the cat
There,
from Trader Calls.
nope. There are scenes of. There is like one scene of like a dead animal, but you don't see that animal die. It's like a deer that's dead. You know.
Hey, I mean, even Edward Cullen killed a deer.
There you go. I haven't seen Twilight, so I don't know. I've seen the first one. I have no idea.
We watched New Moon too.
Does he kill it in that one?
No.
But I think that I think that the movie was good? It was fine. Like it took a long time to get going, I felt like. But it's a definite like woman, like from a female gaze, like there would be a lot of things to talk about, I think.
Yeah.
So it says there are no animals harmed in the making. Is someone gaslighted? No, that's a lie. She was gaslight. Never mind. I can't talk about it.
What else do
Oh,
we have to say about Insidious?
they do clean fish to eat them, but the fish are dead, and there is a dead deer, but that's it. So I don't know if you would be able or willing to watch it.
Not my favorite, but that's the kind of movie, so I can't be surprised. Oh, we're in the wilderness and there's wild animals.
It's in the right. It's not humans perpetuating abuse or ghosties perpetuating abuse. Anyway, about Insidious. What other things would you like to throw in there?
I just think it's a really great movie. I love it. I love the entire Insidious franchise. Oh, can I read you this? So funny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is a text between me and my friend Ben from a million years ago. Gosh, now where would I even have it? Is it on my Instagram? Ew, my ex. Gross. I'm not the kind of person that like deletes photos of my exes or anything from my Instagram because one, I don't post that much, so it's just, getting rid of a few things that I do post. But also I'm just like that was part of my life and I don't think it's fair that I have to like erase parts of my life that like at one point were okay.
I think if it doesn't bother you, then it's fine to leave it. But if it's something that you see and it causes you to be uncomfortable or brings up like bad toxic memories and makes you feel bad, then I think it's okay to delete them as well.
Yeah. I mean, like, definitely my exes have deleted my existence from their profiles, and I'm like, okay, fine. Like, sorry, you can't handle it. Because
I
I
also have to
don't
say,
pine after anybody.
the longer the relationship, the more things you have to delete, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I just don't want to do that. Where's like see friendship? See friendship.
How do you think Elise picked her mask? Like, how did that even come about? Do they talk about that in the other Insidious movies and the prequels? Like, why did she choose that gas mask? To be
I don't know.
scary and intimidating? You have under 8 minutes to find it.
So the crux of what this is, especially since it's an audio podcast, is I remember taking this like BuzzFeed quiz that was like, pick your favorite horror movie out of all of these. And it was Insidious, The Conjuring, Blair Witch, and I think maybe Annabelle, because it was around that time. Something like that. And I sent it to one of my best friends, Ben. Um, and I was like, how am I supposed to choose? And he said, it's impossible. And I was like, well, I had to. And then he was like, which did you pick? So I just said, guess. And then he was like, well, The Conjuring legit scared you. Um, the Blair Witch Project isn't that good, even though it's a classic. Whatever the other one was, he's like dismissed it. And he's like, paired with Insidious being your favorite horror movie, I think you chose Insidious. And I was like, well, I picked Insidious. Because it was just this big long thing. I'm gonna find that photo and I'm gonna put it where we post. Because every time it comes up on my time hop, because something similar happened. Like I did another BuzzFeed quiz like later, and I was like, "Which did I pick?" And he was like, "This one," and I was like, "Dang it!" Because if there's one
See, every
thing
time.
that I hate and love, it's being fucking perceived. And so like when Marissa is like, "Well, you like blah 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 because blah blah blah," and I just sit there and I'm like, "Cause you got your degree and no fucking thing."
You, I feel like sometimes I say something and then you're like, oh my God, you know things about me. I'm like, obviously, I'm your friend. I'm
People
supposed
remember
to
what we
know
were just
things.
talking about with like me not deleting things about my exes. I'm like, those people wouldn't know shit.
I know. I mean, I just learned about George and don't tell me. Shaniqua. I was gonna say Sharkeisha, but I knew that wasn't right. Sharkeisha wasn't around when you were making your songs. So
Nope, nope. It's just, and George is a one llama guy.
yeah, that's the longest
That's his
relationship.
llama lady.
That's his mama llama.
You hear
Have
that,
you
Shaniqua?
have you not seen those videos of the people that like rap red pajama mama llama red pajama?
I mean, I know of that, but
Yeah, that's what it makes me think.
my
Mama
songs are a
llama
lot
red
more
pajama.
heartfelt.
I don't know. The mama llama red pajama hits every time, no matter who raps it. So
Well, George can give it a go. Shall we, in the 4 minutes that we have, pick what
oh
we're doing
no.
next?
Oh no.
Because I'm looking right now and Tremors, as of recording today, is not available.
No, I didn't think it would be. Okay, it's July. There's 4th of July, but nobody really cares about that.
And we did I Know What You Did Last Summer for last 4th of July.
Yeah. What other July holidays are there? Alice in Wonderland Day. I don't think that's a horror movie though.
Well, it depends on who you ask. Huh. Insidious, The Red Door.
Oh, jeez. National Chicken Wing Day. There we go.
Horror movies coming to Netflix in July 20. It's like I turned do it to the right.
I have no idea what you're saying.
It was the nun. Just her face. It just popped right up.
Oh, she's very scary.
She's very scary. Okay, well, The Nun's coming to Netflix, and The Nun 2 is on Max.
I have a trigger warning for that.
Annabelle, Jigsaw, American Psycho. American Psycho would be a July one, but I can't, like, that movie fucks me up a lot because of things.
Well, how about this? If we don't pick anything before we finish recording this, we will post it in the listing. How about that?
Okay, well, we know that we're not going to do that. Or we need to pick right now. We have 2.5 minutes to pick.
No pressure.
Okay.
Now my thing is something. Low system resources may affect your audio quality. I don't know what that means. We could what? The Purge is very American.
Not very female gazy.
No, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Gone Girl happens in July.
Well, that would be a long one though, wouldn't it? But I mean, that's fine.
I have a lot to talk about. Oh, we need to highlight Insidious and the Silent Hill that we've crossed it off the list.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a summer thriller.
I'm down for that if it's open. Open if it's streaming.
I think the new one is on Netflix. I haven't seen the new one.
Like the new one, like the Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right, I haven't seen that one.
I turned it off. I thought
Was
it
it bad?
garbage.
Ugh.
Yeah. We only have a minute. You pick whatever you want. Whatever you want. There's no wrong answer.
How do you feel about Barbarian?
I love Barbarian.
Barbarian. Let's just do it.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay, I like that movie. Oh, we have less than 1 minute left. I really love that movie.
Oh, Marissa's gonna be so mad. She hates this movie.
She's wrong. Okay.
That's what I tried to tell her, and then she got mad at me.
Okay, so next month for July, we are going to be reviewing Barbarian. So tune in because it's great and we're going to talk about it. And thank you for listening today of our ramblings and all about Rachel's favorite movie. We're so happy you're here. We'll see you the next time. Bye. Say it again. I didn't hear your bye.
Bye.
That was loud, but okay, that works. Bye.
Thank you guys for listening. We hope that you enjoyed our episode and we look forward to hearing from you.
Find us on Twitter or Instagram to request a movie or even just to discuss your thoughts at Booze and Boobs, or send us an email, boozeandboobs@gmail.com.
Yeah, and we're working on turning this into a thing. So if you can please follow us on Patreon, our account there is Booze and Boobs also.
And what are some of the benefits to joining our Patreon?
Oh, Katrina, I am so glad that you asked. As a patron, you will get early release episodes, bloopers, mini episodes where we showcase scenes from the movies that we're talking about, or just conversations that we're having that we had to cut from our recording.
All that and more. And they're fun tiers. You can be an A cup, a C cup, or you can join the Triple D Plus group like us.
We truly appreciate your support and we look forward to growing our following to create more content for listeners like you.
So we'll see you next time, or else.
Yeah, let's end it with a threat.